What's up guys, Alanimal here, and today I'm going to be showing you what I consider to be the best console settings for Apex Legends for the new Advanced Look Controls tab. When we get into some of these more complicated settings, I'll do my best to break down exactly what those settings do. So let's get started. This is how I set up my settings to be the best I can make them for general purposes in most situations you'll come across on Apex Legends. Okay, so first thing you'll want to do is open your menu and go to settings. Now just a quick glance at gameplay settings. Everything is default except for damage numbers. I have this as both, but a lot of people also use stacking. I have streamer mode on just because I stream on Twitch during the week. Now looking at controller settings, first thing that I change is button layout, and I change it to bumper jumper so I can jump and look at the same time. Stick layout is default, interact is default, and I believe crouch, aim, and trigger is default also. If not, feel free to copy this. Now, sensitivity, I have my aim as default 3 and my ADS as 2. I recommend running 2 or 3, not same. My response curve I have as classic, though a lot of people use steady as well. Now, I personally have an elite controller, and I have a custom sensitivity on the controller itself, but I use the same Apex sensitivity setup with one minor change on my default controller as well, so I know the setup works for most people on a variety of setups. And the only difference between my default controller and my elite controller settings is just a few taps on the yaw. My dead zone is large, my movement dead zone is small, invert is off, and vibration is off. Now at the bottom of the controller settings page, you'll see the new tab that says Advanced Look Controls. If you click on that, it'll open up the new settings for the Advanced Look Controls. Now, these new settings is where it gets more complicated, but I'll do my best to briefly explain. Dead zones is the amount of movement you have to put on your analog stick before it starts going through its response curve. The outer threshold is where the controller considers the analog sticks maxed out in any direction. The smaller the circle, the quicker the controller assumes you want max turning. Response curve is what really controls the majority of your aim and how it's input. The more you slide the slider to the right of the screen, the steeper you make the ramp. The more you slide the slider to the left of the screen, the more you make it flattened out diagonally. So what that does is when you make the ramp steeper by going to the right, it makes your aim slower in the beginning of the curve, or when you make minor adjustments, and much faster and touchy towards the end. Now, when you slide the response curve slider to the left and flatten out the curve, it makes your aim much more touchy immediately during small adjustments, and it has the same level of increase to max speed as you input your analog stick closer and closer to the edge. Target compensation I have is on just cause. If I find out later that it's a bad thing, I'll update it in the comments. My regular settings for sensitivity is default because I only wanted to change the aim down sight sensitivity. 2 was too slow for me and 3 was too fast for moving targets, so that's why I just changed my ADS. I felt that my regular at 3 was perfectly fine for me. So what I did was, on my ADS, I turned my yaw speed up, which yaw is the movement speed outright from side to side for that sensitivity, which my ADS is too custom. Pitch is the same as yaw, except up and down instead of side to side. Extra turning yaw I turned way up, because when I'm on 2 sensitivity and I'm trying to keep my ADS on a running player, my aim would fall behind. So by turning this up, it changes the speed of your aim when it's at maximum turn on your analog stick. Essentially, just adding more to the top of the response curve as far as how fast it can go in the end. Extra pitch, again, is default. Turning ramp up time, I turn down a little as it controls the speed of how fast your aim goes through the response curve. And since I made my response curve slow in the beginning and fast in the end, slowing down the time it goes through the response curve altogether smooths that out and makes it more maintainable. And lastly for this part is ramp up delay, which controls how long you need to hold the analog stick in the maxed out position before it starts the response curve. Mine is less because I want to be able to correct my aim quickly if needed. Next is the video settings. I put my FOV to 100. FOV means field of view. I highly recommend using this and turning it up because even though it slightly distorts your screen, it makes a really big difference to the aim. Now, going into why that is for another video, and I'll probably make that video when I do my Elite controller setup for Apex Legends. But anyway, at least a minimum of 96 FOV is what I would use if you don't really like the way it distorts. And if you're real stiff about it, I mean, I would not go below 88 at all. In Sprint Shake, I turn off. I don't know why, but I feel that it causes GPU spikes just because of how much unneeded distortion it adds to your screens with the extra graphics and shaking your screen. I like to have awareness and be able to see as clearly as possible at all times, so this stays turned off. And just a quick tip for audio, I turn everything down except the main volume and the sound effects volume. Audio is going to be your friend on Apex, big time. Alright guys, and that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If it helped you, smash that like button. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button. Any reason you can think of, smash that like button. Drop me a comment if you have any questions. I'll try and keep up with them, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.